This is a follow-up to my April 4th video regarding LeBron James throwing his Miami Heat teammates under the bus in the disgusting JJ Redick podcast. Some of you pointed out in the comments that LeBron James made his arrogant prediction of the Heat getting at least 7 titles back in 2010. So how now can he claim, oh, we didn't have the pieces that we needed? I want to take it a step further. He made those comments July 9th, 2010. Now let's try to cover La Excuse Nation's list of excuses that I imagine they're coming up with. First, here's the blanket answer that would solve this if any of you had been raised decently. Just don't act like an arrogant prick. You know, don't say shit like that. And really don't say shit like that if you don't know who your teammates are. But he did know, or at least he should have known if he was paying any attention at all, because a huge portion of the previous season's roster was returning. A few people re-signed that summer, and of course all of his collusion pals he knew were coming over. So the bottom line is he did know. And not only did they have their super team core, but the Miami Heat went through great lengths to surround those guys with the right pieces. An incredible supporting cast, actually. But what I wanted to do with this video is tell everyone who signed and when they signed. Mike Miller signed a 5-year, $25 million contract on July 15th. Even more telling that LeBron's concept that he was surrounded by a bunch of minimums that weren't help is an article I'm reading from ESPN back in the day that actually called Mike Miller the Ringo Starr of the Heatles. That's a pretty big thing to say. Look, I know Ringo is maybe the least popular of the Beatles, but he's number 4. Haslam, it turns out, was thrilled that Miller was coming. They were boys back in their Gator days. Team chemistry. Just another thing LeBron James had to deal with. Circling back to Haslam, with Haslam also being thrown under the bus with most of the rest of the team, it's worth pointing out that the Nuggets and Mavericks had been bidding for Haslam. What kind of a nobody is getting bids from other teams during free agency? Haslam sent an email to the South Florida Sun-Sentinel reading, "Turned down full mid-level from Dallas and Denver. See you next season. He wanted to stay where his family was and where his ailing mother was and stick with a team that he loved and had been a part of a championship season with." What a terrible thing to have on your team. Poor LeBron. On July 17th, 2010, Ilgauskas signed with the Miami Heat, following LeBron from Cleveland. A continuation in the roster from the previous season includes Joel Anthony, Carlos Arroyo, Mario Chalmers. No secrets, no surprises. These guys were going to be there. James Jones, Jamal Maglar, all roster carryovers from the previous season. July 29th, 2010, Eddie House signs with the Miami Heat. From what I can see, only Dampier and Bibby signed at a later time in the season with the Heat. Everyone else signed in the summer or was a carryover from the previous season's roster. For a guy who is always heralded as having a high IQ, people sure don't hold him accountable for not knowing the details of the very lies he's about to tell. I mean, he goes on a podcast, lies about things that can be proven to not be true. He had a great team. He had a great supporting cast, and he had a superstar core. But here's what's really crazy. If he said that on July 9th, and a bunch of these guys signed later in July, that means the team got even better after he made his arrogant claim that they were going to get 7 or more titles. But, you know, LeBron gets away with anything and everything. It's not his fault. LeBron could say that the sky is purple, and when someone finally calls him out on it, that the sky is blue, they'll say, well, it's not his fault. He wasn't looking up. Angry old hoops. I'm out.